All right, so you can excuse my nerdy blue light glasses, but I am trying to attempt to not get headaches from my too much use of computer screens. So let's talk a little bit today about the rhetorical situation. We have done a lot of talking about authors and their purposes and finding details in the text to support those purposes. But now we're going to get a little bit deeper into this as we move into our second unit over personal identity. So the rhetorical situation sounds like a big fancy word. It is not. Rhetoric is argument. So if you hear the word rhetoric, it just means persuasive writing, argument. So the rhetorical situation just means a situation that deals with argument. So it sounds big, but it's not. So basically, rhetoric is the art of persuasive writing. We've worked so far this semester with controlling ideas in writing, and now we're going to be learning to think about the main idea and purpose a little bit more in depth as it relates to rhetoric, which is argument. So we're going to be looking at some argumentative writing and some people making some arguments during this unit, and we're going to think about it a little bit more in depth. We've got some deeper stuff to learn. All right, so speakers and writers use rhetoric for many reasons, and it occurs in many genres from speeches to advertisements. Rhetoric could be a billboard, rhetoric could be in a commercial, rhetoric could be a political campaign speech, rhetoric could be an op-ed, an opinion editorial in the newspaper. Rhetoric could be a speech given in front of a high school, your parents talking to you about something and trying to convince you of a certain college to go to is rhetoric. We see rhetoric all the time, guys. Anything we look at for rhetoric is a text, even if it's an image. So if it's a billboard, I'm going to call it a text, even though it's a picture, right? Because when we talk about rhetoric, we're talking about texts. We need to learn to read between the lines of these texts and see what strategic decisions the creator makes to accomplish their purpose. So when people create rhetoric, they make these strategic decisions. Strategic, of course, just means strategy. They're doing it on purpose. They're doing these certain strategies to accomplish their purpose. So being able to analyze rhetoric is a life skill. This is not an American lit skill. This is like to be an American skill. You need to do this. In our country, people are always trying to convince us of stuff, right? Politicians want us to vote for them. People want us to buy certain products. People want us to do certain things. And we've got to learn to question. We have to be able to step back and see if they're presenting us an argument worth believing. Not all opinions are created equal, guys. All educated opinions are created equal. We have to be able to call people out who are trying to convince us of things that do not make any sense. Okay, it's a skill that Americans don't seem to have a lot of right now. So we need to be able to ask ourselves what these people's purpose is in trying to convince us to do something, right? Do they actually care about us, or do they just want our vote? Are they using us for some reason? Do they just want our money, right? Is this a good argument or a bad argument? Are they being selfish or selfless when they're making it? We need to ask ourselves what their purposes are and whether or not they actually deserve our trust. So learning to decide if an argument has value is an America skill. It's a skill you need, but it's also a great skill for this class. Whenever we think about argument, we always need to remember that every argument is created in a rhetorical situation. And all that means, guys, is that for every argument that exists, there's a situation that has caused it to exist. And to remember this, you can always remember the acronym SOAPSTONE. Okay? It's a good way to analyze arguments. So when you analyze an argument, you're going to start with subject. Basically, what's the topic? What is this thing about? Is it about cupcake mix? Is it about voting? Is it about job security? Is it about homelessness? What is the topic? What is the subject that the argument is about? That's usually just going to be like a one sentence answer, right? Then what's the occasion? What occasion led to the creation of this argument? Okay, if you come home late and then your dad gives you some big lecture and argues that, if you're not careful, you're going to ruin your whole entire life. The occasion that prompted that argument was you being late for curfew, right? The reason we're watching all of these blasted commercials about politicians right now is because we have an election coming up, right? That's the occasion. The election is the occasion that is causing all of these political commercials. So you're thinking, what led this to be created? Next, you want to think, who's the audience? Who do they intend to listen to them, Okay, never say everyone. That's not true. They're always thinking about who they're talking to. So I want you to think, who is the audience? Who did they write this for? Okay. Then the purpose. What is the purpose? Why did they write it? Okay. Occasion is what happened that led them to write it, and purpose is what they're hoping to accomplish, right? What do they want to accomplish? And in fact, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say, what is the author writing this argument? Or what is the author, why don't we say this, hoping to accomplish through this argument? Yeah, that's more clear. What is the writer hoping to accomplish through this argument? Why are they making it? What is their end game here? What are they hoping you'll do at the end of it? And then speaker. Who's the speaker? And you always want to say, is this speaker qualified to speak or write on this topic? So for instance, I am qualified to talk to you about the rhetorical situation. I've been an English teacher for 21 years. I have 3 degrees. One of them is in straight English. I've been teaching all levels of English. I've been teaching AP Lang for 7 years. So I'm qualified to speak on this topic. If I started telling you how to solve calculus problems, I hope you would run screaming from me because I am not qualified. So just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. Just like if your great aunt, Eileen starts ranting about politics, if she doesn't know what she's talking about, then it's not worth listening to her, right? Just because somebody talks a lot about something doesn't mean they actually know anything about it. So that's important to realize. And then tone, of course, you're always wanting to evaluate what the author's general attitude toward a text is. So this is sort of your introduction to the rhetorical situation. And we're going to be doing an activity that allows you to go back and look at this and also analyze a text for its rhetorical situation, thinking about soapstone. So without further ado, I'm going to let you go and work on that. And if you have any problems with it, as always, email me or use these notes and I will get right back to you. Have a good one, guys.